Hi, this is Sheila with Stamping Wishes and welcome to my studio. Today I'm here to show you a super cute fold out box that I saw. I'll have to put her name down. She's a UK lady that I watch. She's not a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, but she can come up with some really cute boxes, and this was one that she actually got a box and then it was much larger and she reduced the size to make this. So let me show you what it is. All right, here's the box, right? And I ran out of my paper because it does take quite a bit of the DSP, and so that's why my cover, or the little box portion here, I had to kind of makeshift it, okay? But here's the box. Isn't this cute? And it's held out by magnets, and when it opens up, you have 4 boxes, and each one of these boxes open like this so that you can put a nice cute little gift in there for, say, Easter, a bunch of different Easter candies, and yeah, you have a really cute box. Isn't that precious? And it just folds right back up. There it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you how to cut and score. Well, I've already cut it, but to score this one piece, and I am working on a PDF that I'll have it attached on my blog, and also I'm going to try doing it on my YouTube channel. I've not done that before, so that you can print it off and it will have one-to-one instructions on how to put it together and what to cut, okay? So you want to cut, it does take the 12 by 12 cardstock, and what I had to get was 2 of the neutrals to get the colors that some of the colors I wanted, and in this case you need 4 each of the 12 by 12 cardstock. You're going to cut it at 8 5/8 by 11 1/4. Then we're going to score it on the I'm sorry, at the 8 and 5/8 side, and we're going to score it at 2 1/8. And usually when I score, I try and get my pin up there, and I start this little slot, and I seem to stay on track better that way. I don't know if it's just me or if that's the way it's supposed to be done. Then you want to come to your 6 1/2 and score down this side. Now you're going to turn it and go to your 11 1/4 inch side. You're going to score again at 2 1/8, 4 1/4, 6 3/8, 1 2 3, 8 1/2, and then 10 5/8. So we go 1 2 3 4 and 5. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and put this aside, and we're going to cut it. Now some of you may prefer to use your scissors, and I do part of the way, but for getting good straight lines, because there's on the sides of them, this first one I made, I noticed that my sides weren't completely squared, which kind of bothered me a little bit, but I decided to use my cutter and cut my straight lines, because some of them will be mitered and one set will not be mitered. So for the one set that won't be, I prefer to have it where that I can miter them myself with a scissors, but keep the squared one the way it's supposed to be. Now you're going to do this on all of these. I leave this one attached, and you'll see one in a little bit, and we'll be cutting that. Now it's real easy, because if you take your score line right into the center of your cutting track there, you're going to be able to line this up each time. You can see from this score line here and your line on this side exactly where to start at. So I find this to be real easy, and when you've got several of these to do, it's kind of nice to get them all scored, and then I'll cut them this way, and then sit down and do your actual scissor cutting. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this away. I don't think we'll need it anymore. All right, So now you can beforehand go in and fold, burnish your fold line stuff. Because I was doing that on my cutter, I prefer to leave it flat. It cuts a little bit better that way, okay? So when we start here, this portion is the top of your box, and that's very important to remember in some of the stuff that we're going to be doing here. This is the bottom of the box here. That's the wider piece, okay? Because this will be your lid when we get done with putting it together. So the first thing you want to do is I take a very slight, nothing deep or anything, on your wedge to the top. Okay, and then we're going to cut half of this tab off here. About half. You can kind of use your judgment of half or 3/4 or whatever. It's part that's going to be down inside the box anyway, folding. Okay, and then the wedge on this one will be a little bit deeper wedge because you want it to fit nicely and easily down into your box. So that will be our deepest wedge that we do. Our other mitering that we're going to be doing is your normal, just wedging the sides of the box. Okay, now this next one, very important, do not cut these two tabs next to the lid. Those are the ones that have to be squared, so don't go messing with them, okay? So anyway, to make it a little bit easier on me to hold it, I'm going to kind of come in here, and again, I'm not taking huge wedges out, just enough to miter them a little bit and make the pieces fit in better. Okay, and I find using larger scissors to be easier on these large cuts like this. Okay, and had I thought about it when I had my cutter out, I would have probably, because this is a straight cut here, and I'm not always the best at straight cuts, but you just come down and cut it right on the score line. I try to go right on the edge of it so I don't leave any of the score line there. Okay, so we're going to edge this here, or miter it, I should say. No, it's close enough. I'll just pull it off. Okay, remember I'm getting close to the panel that's right next to the lid, and I have to be careful that I don't cut that piece. I'm only going to be cutting off this piece. Let me fold this again so I can get a better grip on it. Okay, so again, I want this squared off. I don't want anything mitered on it. So I'm going to come right up here and give it this one a little bit of a miter, and that's done. Okay, let's get this off of the table. Now when I'm going to lay this out so that you can kind of see the diagram, and in my PDF, if you notice, I actually did put that diagram there because it'll make it easier for you to remember what's the top of the box, the bottom, and the piece that you don't miter, and all the rest of them you do. Okay, so now we're going to put this box together, and then I have the other one started, and we'll go on to that. Now I'll give you the measurements as we go here, and I'll also, as we get to the DP designer paper, sorry, DSP paper, I'm going to give you options for matting or not matting the box, okay? This one, if you notice, I had matted the top, and I really liked the way that looked, but I failed to do it on the rest of the pieces here. Now, in the inside, you don't want to mat this because these are all kind of coming together, okay? Let me close this box back up. These are all coming together, so you want it nice and snug in there, so you don't want to mat those and give it out extra bulk. Alright, so to do this now, you can get your bone folder out if you didn't do it beforehand, and let's just crease those edges real quick. I don't know about y'all's weather there, but we are having some storms here. Now I love the cold, wet, windy type weather. My husband hates it, but it makes me want to get in here and craft or cook. It just really gets me stirred up and going. So this is my kind of day. I've got my window right in front of me so I can sit and watch it while I'm working and playing in my craft room. Okay, so we're going to take the middle tab is the first one you want to do, and you want to bring it over and you're going to square it off with this first tab. Notice that I'm trying to make sure that all my edges here have squared, and then rub it and make sure it's good and sealed. And if you want to, you can take your bone folder between each one and kind of go down and do that too. That kind of helps give it a firm seal and moves that glue around on that you've applied on there. Okay, we're going to do this side next the same way. We're going to, and if you have to get that out of the way, just bend them back. But we're going to come over here again, and we want to square this off. Nice. Now I did notice on this, on my one, I may have gotten right on the edge of the box. Let me see how it's going to go. Because if it doesn't want to fit in real well, this would be my time to trim it up a little bit if I need to. Let's bring this in and see if it's going to square up okay. Actually, it looks like it is. Okay, I won't worry about it. I thought at first it was going to get caught on there, but it doesn't look like it. Okay, so on your next one, you want to bring those tabs in, and be sure that, because it's going to get a little bit harder to maneuver with it at this end, is to go ahead and adhere both flaps at the same time, and just work a little bit quicker to get them tacked in there before they dry. But this will keep you from having to maneuver with it partially closed. Okay, so I bend both sides back here. This way I can again flush that in there, get a good tack, then go to my other side, square it up, get a good tack in there, and then I'm going to run my bone folder inside one more time just to make sure everything is adhered well. Okay, so then if everything is cut correctly, and see how I didn't take much wedge off, that helps hold these boxes in place. My first one that I did over here, I did notice that I kind of wedged a little bit too deep, and they come open more easily than the rest of these did. So again, when you're putting your box together, take your time, do your cutting, make sure you don't, where I've shown you not to wedge too much, don't wedge. In fact, this one wants to come down a little bit further there now. Now we got it there. Okay. So now I've gone ahead and put the rest of the boxes together because I didn't want to spend that kind of time showing you on each one. Now to put this together properly, you're going to see that I'm going to be taking the top flap to the bottom of this one, of each one. It's very important you see this design come into effect. If you do not do it this way and you don't see that design when you go to adhere this or dry fit it, then you've got it positioned wrong. Okay, I've gone ahead and done 2 of them, and I will come back in a minute and tell you what this is. But if you notice, I've already gone ahead and done 2 of them. Here's the top, this flap here is at the bottom of the other one, and here's the lid of this one, okay? And I'll go ahead and tell you what I did, and I'll show you here in a minute. But I thought these were a little bit hard sometimes to take out, so I thought these little flaps would go well with it, and that was kind of an afterthought. The lady that did this originally, her first one also didn't have it, and she came back and did a second one knowing that that probably would be the easiest way. Now you could put a little thin piece of ribbon there, or even the DSP if it's two-sided, however you want to do it. Okay, I chose to do the cardstock. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and attach our boxes, the rest of our boxes together. Remember what I said, this is the top, this is the bottom, this has to go like so, okay? So I'm going to adhere this bottom, or my little flap is what I'm calling it. Make sure I've got plenty that it's going to adhere to. Okay, and I want to put it on the very bottom, so I'm going to line it up, and you can do it one or 2 ways. I can either bring it like so, and if I need to make sure that it has gone, then I'm able to stack it up this way and make sure that everything is adhering and stacking well. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that open for a second, again run my bone folder over to make sure that adhesive is flowing through all of the spacing in there. Okay, and so now I've got this one here open, and as you can see, now I've got the 3 boxes like so. Okay, now your 4th one is going to go on to the bottom just like we did the others, and see how you get this design here. That's so important, because if you're not getting this design when you're putting it together, it will not work. It won't stack correctly, because right now, see, as I bring this together, how all 4 of these kind of fold in together, that's the way it's supposed to do, okay? And that won't happen gluing it any other way. So I'm going to let you look at that while I put this on. Okay, and I'm going to bring this to the bottom of this one, like so. Okay, and there we have it. See, your box is all put together, and we're almost ready to decorate. Now this one's still needing to dry a little bit, so I'm not going to force it. I'm going to let it sit for a second like that. All right, so I don't think I cut one of the pieces I needed to cut. Let me see if it's over here. All right, so I'm going to let that dry like that. One of the other pieces that you have to cut to make your other flap that will bring these together like so is a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and we're going to score it at 2 1/8. So let's go ahead and do that. I said I didn't need this anymore, and I sure enough did. So I'm coming up here, and I want to make sure this is my right piece here that I did. Yeah. 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. Okay, good. So I'm going to bring it to 2 1/8, which is your half of your 4 1/4, and I'm going to score this. Okay. Now what we're going to do is bring this, because we want this to come and go on to this like so. I'm going to adhere this flap at the top of this one. Okay. And I will need that cutter one more time to show you how to do the tabs. And then we're going to decorate it. Alright, so then we come in here and we place this down on top. Make sure everything looks squared off and fitting well. Because you want your sides to look as nice and tight as you can get them from all sides, because you want all of that to look uniform. And the belly band that I showed you earlier is a option, and today what I'm doing, just to save time so my film doesn't go over too far, and I almost did. Hi, as you'll see from the video, my last one that I was making, it stopped filming right in the middle of me getting ready to start decorating, so I ended up catching it right after I had done most of the decorating except for the last 2 tabs, which is actually the most important part with adding the magnets and the closure to it. So I do apologize, but let's take it from where I had to reshoot at. The ones on the outside, however, as you can see here, I've gone in and matted them with the copper, which I think looks a lot nicer than being unmatted. I did the same thing with each of the ends. So what you have to do is cut out 8 of these pieces, which are the unmatted, and the measurements on them are 1 7/8 by 4 1/8. Then to mat them, you're going to cut your copper foil. If you're doing this color, I cut it at 1 7/8 by 4 1/8, and I did 8 of those. Then I came back and I did my DSP for the matting. I cut them at 1 3/4 by 4. And that's how I got this. Flip it over. That's how I got the matting on this side here, okay? And then for the ends, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to take your copper, and that's going to be 1 7/8 by 1 7/8 square. And then you're going to come down at 1 3/4 by 1 3/4 on the DSP, and you do 8 of those. And so you'll have left over these 2 pieces here, which is going to be your outside flaps when we stack these together. Then these are going to be the flaps here, and I didn't want to put them on. I'm glad I caught that it wasn't filming before I finish this, because that's where the magnets go, and so I wanted to show you how I did my magnets. Now again, you could put Velcro to the inside of this if you wanted to. Another thing that I think that I may do after I put my magnets on, I don't want to put too much paper there because then it won't catch, but I may go ahead and put some DSP there depending on how these magnets catch, okay? So let's go ahead and get our magnets out. And I like to use these. I get them on Amazon, and I'll leave a link to them, but they're really tiny and they are flat, and they work so well in projects like this. Okay, so I think what we'll do is just kind of hold it like that for a second. I'm going to make me 2 dots where I want my first magnets to go. So I think we'll put one there and one there. Looks about pretty even. And so I'm going to put my 1 magnet down. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and adhere my outside on where I've got it here. You can put these on with, which I did for that quick version of that. I prefer using my liquid glue to my adhesive, the tape adhesive, because it's stronger for one, and when you have bulk like we do with those magnets being under there, any little extra piece like this, this seems to attach better with the liquid glue doing this. Okay, so now we're going to open this up, and we've got to find our magnets for the other side. Okay, and the other side will be obviously right here. So we've lined this up, and then we want to let them find the other magnets. Okay, so once it finds a magnet like that, then what I normally do without flipping it, that's really important, don't flip that magnet, because then you're going to not be able to do it. And I can feel where, tell you what I'll do. Well, okay, let it find the other magnet. There you go. So I'm taking it off. I am flipping it just to put the adhesive up underneath it, and then letting it find its other magnet. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and adhere the other flap. Move this over out of the way here a little bit so I'm not completely off camera. All right. And we want to put that flap there. In this gorgeous paper, I just absolutely love it. And I thought the smoky gray really went well with it. It was hard for me to decide on a white or the smoky gray, and I decided to go with it because of the kind of, I guess it's more of a silver that shows up in the back, but I thought that smoky slate would be pretty with it. All right, so here is our fold-out box. Isn't that precious? Now, talking about the flaps, what I did was take my leftover strip. You'll have a leftover 1-inch strip. I took that and cut it at 1 inch and scored it at a half. And if you notice, this was the one I kind of glued backwards, and so it had a little bit of adhesive on it. But looking at the other ones, it just makes it, you can leave them there or not. You know, you can just use your nail to open the box up if that makes it easier. But I thought it added a cute little enhancement there. So here is our box. All right, so here's our second box. And it is with the belly band, and I will do another film after this one. It'll either post it this evening or it'll post tomorrow, constructing the belly band that will go with this box here. All right, till next time, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you'll try it. They're really, really easy to make and so unique in themselves. Until next time, God bless and stay safe.